Hi, how you doing? This is Jason Barnes with Caney Molds. We're going to do a short safety video and a pouring example. I want to start real quick by going over some of the safety items, and first and foremost is your personal protection. And so you'll notice right off the bat I'm wearing gloves. These gloves are very good for protecting your hands from the actual heat from the plastic, whether you're using a Pyrex cup, or I actually like to use, you'll notice I have several Pyrex cups, but I've also started more, it's still I guess a little bit of an experiment, using these silicone cups. And you know, I wouldn't say hey run out and buy them, but so far I really like them. We'll talk more about pouring stuff maybe in a different video, but I just wanted to, if anybody noticed these, that's what these are, and I'll give you kind of my final verdict on those later. So back to the safety. My hands are protected, arms are protected, my body's protected. I'm wearing, you know, long pants, no shorts, closed-toed shoes. Ideally, they would be maybe leather or something like that. I'm wearing tennis shoes. The one big thing that I'm doing, and I'm going to ask you to, and it's mainly because we were shooting a video, but I'm going to ask you to do what I say and not what I do, is I'm not wearing anything protective on my face. And so you should really be wearing a clear plastic shield on your face. So that's kind of from a personal safety perspective. Then, you know, common sense comes into play as far as, you know, making sure you don't have dogs or kids running around, stuff like that. Now let's talk a little bit about the plastic, and as far as some of the fumes that it puts off. You'll notice right above my head, we have a very large vent hood, and it has a 1,000 CFM fan on it. So it actually pulls out 1,000 cubic feet a minute of air. So it has a really good suction, blows it outside, so I'm not breathing it. As far as our workspace goes, you'll see for the most part we have a nice large open workspace. It's really clear of clutter, so there's nothing dangerous here that I'm going to knock over. I only have one mold set up. It is being balanced by a cup. Normally you'd have several molds together, and so they wouldn't need anything to hold themselves. One thing that I do have out that you normally wouldn't is I have a bowl of water right here, and that's for the pouring example of, I'll just show you how you can put baits in there. One thing that's critical, once a bait goes in the water, you do not remelt the plastic. Water and plastic don't mix, so we definitely don't want to do that. I would not recommend having water on your work surface or really near your work surface. The ideal thing is to have a 5-gallon bucket, on the floor, away from, where you're not going to trip over it or it's going to be in the way. But you really want to keep that water and your plastic totally separate from each other. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. You can see right here, I'm using the silicone bowl, and all I'm doing is remelting some plastic parts. And so, I put it in for a little bit and I'm stirring it. This is what I was talking about. One of the benefits that I like about these bowls is that the plastic doesn't really stick to it like a Pyrex, and I don't know why, but anyways, kind of a negative or a downside to it is it is a little bit taller, so I see that there is a potential for it to get knocked over maybe a little bit easier. But anyways, so we're melting down the plastic right now. We'll continue to do that, and then we're going to inject here a couple molds in just a second. So one of the things that's really important, we talked about having a clean work area, is making sure that you have all your tools readily available. And the other thing is that you inspect them. So you want to make sure that they function well. All of our injectors are extremely smooth. I mean, there's absolutely no jerk at all. They just, you don't want any jerking. Jerking causes the plastic to suddenly go into the mold, which causes splashing. You'll get air bubbles in your mold where the plastic splashes up on the side. So, always inspect your tools. There's not a lot of tools involved. There's the mold. It's very important to inspect it, make sure it's in good shape. There's a clamp. I have a rule as far as a clamp. Buy a decent clamp. If it ever fails, even one time, you get rid of the clamp and get a new clamp. Don't trust a clamp that's failed even once. So you don't want to skimp on that. And the clamps are super important as far as holding the molds together. If it's a long mold or a really wide mold, you can't over clamp. So it's really important that it's well clamped. This is a small mold, so one clamp more than sufficiently holds it together. The other thing is we use 5/8 inch aluminum for our molds versus, you know, like a 1/2 inch or something like that. And what that does is it just gives it more rigidity. So when it is clamped together, there's less of a chance of it, you know, bowing or flexing apart, you know, if you accidentally put too much pressure on it. The other thing is, and we'll see this when we inject in just a minute, but really all you want to do is rest your hand on the injector and just let it, you know, basically just your hand, the pressure of your hand, push it down in there. Now I actually, a lot of times will, and then you get into the jerking problem, but a lot of times will put my finger actually on the rod, because even the weight of your hand sometimes, depending on the, you know, cavity in the mold, you really don't want it to go in there too fast, so you want a nice slow injection. So stir stick, and then I use a spoon just on the pry to open the molds once I declamp them. So I have all those things here, none of them are in the way. The other thing is, you know, I keep a pair of scissors nearby. Most people usually just take at the gate and they'll just twist the sprue off. I guess I don't know, I have issues. I like to cut mine, I like them nice and clean. I know some of you guys are like that too. So anyways, we'll be back in just a second and we'll actually pour. Okay, so our plastic's hot. Just filled the injector. And you'll notice when I put it on there, when it, you know, actually seat it down in the sprue, and I lightly put my hand on there, and you see I'm just, you know, barely pushing down. There's no real pressure. One of the things that, you know, I like to do is actually hold it on there for just a second. I'm not exerting pressure, but I'm just holding it on there and make sure that, you know, if there's any small appendages or whatnot, they get filled. I give it a slight twist. And then typically go ahead and top off the sprue. Topping off the sprue isn't necessary in a lot of molds. It's just something I like to do in case there's any drawdown. It just helps ensure. And then I just inject you know, the leftover and let it sit there and cool until I'm ready to actually you know, pull that off and remelt it. As far as letting this mold's cold, so as far as, you know, actually demolding, you want to wait till it's safe, you know, the plastic around it's not hot anymore. In this case, because it's a cold mold, it's going to dry very fast. But I'll take that, and then I just take the spoon, you know, pop it open, typically lay the mold on its side, and just lift it out. And you'll see, you know, it's a frog. We didn't do a fancy frog, it's just one color. And then I'll pull that up. Like I said, I like to clip off the sprues. It's a good thing I'm wearing gloves. Still a little bit of warm plastic. Pull the frog out and there you go. Probably not the prettiest frog color. But it's really just that simple. A little bit of safety. If now on a frog I normally wouldn't do it because I like to dip them in clear plastic to make them hard and durable. But if I wanted to, I could take the frog and you just really want to lay it in the water on a big body bait that'll help it cool off and not suck in on itself. It's not normal, you know, it's not really necessary on a frog, but I mainly just wanted to show the use of water and how you can put baits in it. You don't want to splash it, and like I said, you definitely don't want it as a normal practice to have the water up with you know, with all your pouring stuff and hot plastic. So hopefully you saw something you know, that'll help you in your pouring. If you have any questions, you know, please reach out. I'd love to help you out. Take care. Thanks.